Rios Alvarado, they call me the fight doctor, and you're watching Master Boxing. And what we're about to get into right now is the fight. One of the trilogies of our era that some people will bring up on the future presence due to the fact that these two guys truly had a dislike for each other going into the first fight, and even more the second fight. They learned a little bit more maturity going into the third fight, but the third fight offered not much. So what we're gonna break into is the round by round. And as you know, if you've watched the show, we break everything down in the fight game, round by round, starting with round one, Rios Alvarado. What's the difference between Rios and Alvarado in this fight opposed to the other two fights? Well, when it comes to Brandon Rios, there was a mental growth that was necessary for him to experience and to go through, and sort of like being baptized by fire. These guys both are from the gritty, grimy Arturo Gotti world. That's their mindset. Go forward, ask questions later. It usually works for the both of the guys, but as they learned a little bit more and got further into the boxing game, what they learned is you got to know more than just walk forward and punch until your lights fall out. You got to learn how to operate in the ring. You got to have ring generalship. So the mental growth in both of the fighters played only part to Brandon Rios because of the physicality. Brandon Rios is still physically stronger. He was physically stronger the first time, and that's why he beat him by TKO the first time. And the second time, he was beating him in the first half of the fight. Mike Alvarado was able to make an adjustment. He listened. He learned how to drop his pride. And in boxing, you have to learn how to drop your pride. A good reason why Floyd Mayweather is undefeated is because he talks a lot of junk, but he doesn't show pride in the ring. Meaning, he's willing to go down to the game plan, which does not favor the crowd's expectation. He's not jumping in front of the guy to break down for the knockout. His focus is to win the fight. So I'll get on my bicycle, slip and move, throw some shots at your head. 20 seconds remaining in this round. We're gonna break into the in-between rounds, which is where we break down what the growth was in between these two fighters in this last 60 seconds. One of the main material growths is that Brandon Rios did mature between these fights. And Mike Alvarado physically has been through several tough fights, including the first two Brandon Rios fights, going in there and really getting pummeled by Provodnikov, and then having the same type situation with Marquez, the human legend, the modern day legend, one of the greatest pure counterpunch boxers pound for pound in the game today. And ever since he started, he's been a problem. His brother and himself were two of the greatest fighters as brothers in the history of boxing. And this is the end of round one. The next round, we're going to segue into the life and self-discipline that it takes to actually administer this growth. And what being around someone and a fighter like Marcos Maidana can do for you with the successes that he's had against Floyd Money Mayweather, the pound-for-pound best fighter on the planet, arguably one of the best fighters in history, and definitely one of the top 2 to 3, besides Willie Pep and Whitaker, Purnell, that is, Sweet Pea, we know him as. Is one of the top 3 defensive fighters to ever lace him up. And he definitely was that. So, the self-discipline that it takes. Brandon Rios fought Herrera. Brandon Rios lost to Manny Pacquiao. Brandon Rios was confused. But what that was just bad style matchups in the midst of learning how to use the ring instead of just walk guys down. You're at a different level. These guys can fight. These guys understand making adjustments in the ring. That's why he fell victim to Mike Alvarado the second fight, because he didn't understand I have to actually implement the stuff that Robert Garcia is teaching me. And I know Robert Garcia teaches these guys to to cut the ring off. That's boxing 101. The difference is your fighter has to drop that pride enough to actually follow it, because the fighter continues to believe that he got that power, that one punch eliminate him. And as you can see, the way that he comes into the ring, prior to the Manny Pacquiao fight, you could just see the way that Brandon Rios would permeate walking down the aisle, the smile. It's almost like you're about to eat a steak or watch a Super Bowl. You're so elated, and you could just see him permeate in that moment, because that's what he likes to do. He likes to lace them up. He likes to get in there and go mano y mano. And that's why he succeeded so well. So that self-discipline, it was all worth it. Getting a new food and nutrition coach. These things come with the sport. The next round, like I said, being in the ring and in the same arena as a Maidana when he's having that success really will elevate your discipline, your focus. And that's one of the things that came into fruition when it comes down to Brandon Rios. He really learned that this thing is more than just go in there and throw them hands, not living the disciplined life. It transpired into his lifestyle. So he started to commit to his food because he can fight. One of the most premier future fights that people are looking for is he against Provodnikov, which would be an epic battle. Needless to say, it would be one of the greatest fights regardless, because both of those guys go head on. The difference is Brandon Rios really took into account how to walk in there and cut the ring off and learn how to attack the guy from wherever he positioned himself. So when Mike Alvarado tried to make moves last night, this time Brandon Rios had life discipline and was able to make that adjustment and shut him down in 3 rounds. It wasn't even a close fight. I mean, he totally obliterated him, and it was asinine that he even thought that he stood a chance because of the damage that he had taken in the Provodnikov fight, the damage that he had taken in the Marquez fight, the mental preparation. All these things come to play whenever you're fighting at this level. We all know that he's disagreeable. His mindset is, I'm the guy and I'm going to walk in there and do whatever it takes. This guy, when you put him in the right position to fight the fight that he is adapted to fighting, he can actually look capricious in that ring at what he does, because the way he applies the pressure, you've never seen anyone come at a guy throwing the combinations from the side, from the upward angle, straight shots, and they all are hard. There are very few fighters in the game that can do that and take one on the chin the same way that he delivers them. You give, you take. He can do both. Now he's developing footwork, and cutting off the ring is a big important part. And as a coach, I can tell you the reason why he had trouble against Manny, it wasn't just cutting off the ring. It was just pure ring generalship, swallowing that pride and being able to make that adjustment. Once he fought Manny, he realized that it's a lot harder at this level because it's just not about straight ahead. And I'm not segueing into the first round, but what I'm breaking down is the fact that it takes several fights to really adopt those little qualities. And that's the thing. I think we're in the rest period of round 3, and the key is he finally had 2 fights that made him realize and humbled him. It made him realize that you got to add the other thing, the ingredients. And Mike Alvarado was the perfect specimen to put in front of him. And that's find out whenever you see a guy like Brandon Rios, he's rah-rah, he's cantankerous. The thing about him is whatever he wants to say, he says it. He doesn't bite his tongue. He doesn't take a step back. And that's one of the reasons that he finally swallowed his pride. And now you can see how it all came around to fruition. To step into the lion's den and slay the lion. And now he's back. They call me the fight doctor. And I thank you guys for watching. Because you watching Master Boxing. And this is where we break the fight world down, baby. tuned to the Mayweather Pacquiao breakdown. Subscribe to that channel so you can make sure you don't miss that post, because that's one of the hottest things jumping off. So get at your boy.